So obviously that gives the impression to the community and even parents out there who are sending their students to your city to go to college. What do you say to that?
I appreciate the question. Thank you very much. I want to say that we center our work here in Athens, Clarke County, in people's humanity. And part of everybody's humanity is the expectation of human dignity. While 2019 was not that long ago, you might remember the dynamic we were living in the late teens in this country, where you had the President of the United States speaking in the most vile terms about people who were foreign born. And you had that notion metastasizing in places like Charlottesville.
This is an invasion. When I was younger, I was a criminal. And you know what I thought about doing? Crossing the border to Mexico to get away from my crimes.
Son, I'm going to ask you to leave.
Jesus Christ, he saved me, and I no longer live that lawless life, which you do.
Son, I'm going to ask you to leave.
You are lawless, Mr. Mayor.
I'd be glad to schedule some time with you if you'd like some individual time.
Yeah, I'd like to spend some time with you.
Let's do that, but I need to continue.
So you just heard it. Somehow the mayor is trying to deflect the fact that another illegal alien has killed somebody in Georgia, a college student, and he somehow tried to blame that on Donald Trump in 2019, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever at all. But the words the guy spoke, "This is an invasion," couldn't possibly be more correct whatsoever at all, because these people are entering here and they're being facilitated by your government. They're instantly being put on buses and then shipped clandestinely to all the big cities in the United States of America. And these people are some of the biggest scum of the earth that other countries are getting rid of. Numerous times you've heard these people, when they're questioned, saying they can't go back to their other country or they'll be killed. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, they're seeking asylum. Well, why will they be killed in their other country? Because they're rapists or murderers or something to that effect? You know what I mean? Because this just keeps on happening and happening and happening and happening over and over. And I put up a few videos and I've explained it to you several times. The powers that be, the people on this earth that control the people that you believe are your elected officials, are literally pulling off a plan right now to completely destabilize and destroy the United States of America. Remember the video I put up when I was talking about the show that Netflix that Barack and Michelle Obama are behind, called Leave the World Behind? And then what do you know? A few days later, cell phone coverage goes out. 3 large-scale cell phone companies all lose service in all the major cities in the United States on the West Coast, or from the middle of the country over to the West Coast, all lose service magically. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I've been watching the sky since I was 9 years old, and all of a sudden, this is what we're being warned of. When the eclipse comes, schedule errands and appointments early. Have communication plans with family and friends. Have cash on hand in case of limited internet access. Buy necessary groceries and gas. Expect heavy traffic and long lines for local services. What does that even mean? It's an eclipse. They happen quite frequently, and none of these things should be on the board whatsoever at all. But this sure is a beautiful, excellent, perfect excuse to completely pull the plug. Let me explain something to you. Teenagers, children, people of this country will completely lose their entire mind if they lose the internet, because the internet has been strategically tied into absolutely everything. Corporations own all the companies that provide you with goods and services throughout the United States, and that was also by design. And they can, at a whim, simply shut things down, because the corporations, the powers that be, and the political puppets that people think they elect are all playing on the same team. And guess what? We're on the other team. It's astonishing to me how people believe it's a conspiracy theory that really wealthy, powerful people want to dominate everybody on this earth. And they're pretty much done with that. through genetically modified food, through fluoride in the water, through medications and pharmacia, and through the internet. They have basically turned Americans into complete blind, walking with their heads down sheep. Meanwhile, the country is getting invaded, and that invasion is being facilitated by the government. This is no joke. This is no, I don't even know what to call it. I don't know how else to explain it. It's happening directly in front of your eyes. I mean, how much more do people possibly need to understand that we are in a bad way? You know what I'm saying? Because when you tell people to do this, they call you a conspiracy theorist. But when you see it on the news, it's just no big deal. An eclipse causing all of these things, combined with this just occurring right after I warned you about this and after all of the warnings they have put out in the mainstream media. They've got people's eyes focused on Eagle Pass. I was at Eagle Pass. They've got it locked down. Nobody's coming in. But it hasn't stopped anything because they're still flooding in through New Mexico, Arizona, and specifically California. They're still coming and they're still being picked up in buses. Every place I go, I see buses. So as long as you're illegal, you're good to go. But if you're an American and you're homeless, well, too bad. You can live under a bridge right off of the interstate. This is in pretty much every major city and town. This is insane. In the last 10 years of traveling the country, I have never seen it this bad as in the last 2 years. The pandemic got the ball rolling, and the ball ain't stopping. This is happening right now. They're flooding the country with people that don't belong here for a reason. This isn't a coincidence, and it isn't a quote-unquote influx of migrants. This is a premeditated invasion that's being facilitated by the people that run things. You need to understand that. This was 2 days ago.
These are illegal immigrants that have just been smuggled over the United States border by the Mexican cartel. Behind every migrant crossing, someone is making thousands of dollars. I have spoken with hundreds of migrants, and each of them have paid between $5,000 to $10,000 to cross the U.S. border. For example, watch how much money the cartel makes in this 10-second clip. And here in the state of Arizona, businesses and organizations are making millions of dollars profiting off this mass migration here in the United States. Come with me as I catch migrants crossing over the border and as I sneak into these facilities that are making millions of dollars off of mass migration here in the United States.
So not only are these people paying the cartels to sneak them over, but at least 10% of these people are coming over with fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, etc., or really bad intentions for the country. And the other problem is we've got groups, American, I guess, left-leaning liberal folk that are helping these people to sneak in, accommodating them with food, etc., and nothing happens to them. Nobody's arresting them. Nobody's telling them to move on. It just continues. And I showed you that in this video called Illegal Border Jumper Warns You Will Know My Name. And apparently he looks very similar to someone that's on a terrorist watch list that is a big shot in the Middle East, and he managed to sneak his way into this country. That's the deal. But the better part of all this is we've got Americans literally helping these people sneak in and making it comfortable for them. And the authorities aren't arresting these people. The authorities are allowing this to happen. You can't not notice these camps. They're massive. You know what I mean? And they're right on the other side of an enormous gaping hole in the fence. This is one of the cars right here. It takes off. She runs from the Border Patrol. They follow her, and then a few minutes later, she's back and quacking about how God wants illegals, no matter age, denomination, etc. God wants illegals in the United States right away, and they're helping to facilitate that. So you need to understand that this is a real thing. This is really happening. And if you understand what the mainstream's literal purpose is, it's to make up your mind for you. It's to put ideas in your head. If you didn't have a television and you just saw how things were happening with your own eyes, you'd have a completely different view of things. But sadly, America is in love with the mainstream television, sports, music, and entertainment. Here's a little reminder of what used to happen. People didn't see this back in the old days, but I'm going to refresh your memory. This is what television is, and now it's just really, really insidious. But this has been around for a long time. You remember in the old days when television would have to sign off? They'd have to sign off at a certain hour. I think it was midnight. But this is what you would see on your television on channel 4, 5, or 7, or perhaps channel 25, 38, or 56, if I'm remembering this correctly. But even back then, when they were doing the national anthem, there were subliminal messages in there telling you to trust the government and also telling you that God is real. Something that they completely have gone the other way on now and telling you that there's no such thing as God. It's just science. This has been going on forever. You really need to open your eyes, because I can't continue to point this out because it's getting redundant at this point. But every day that goes by, more and more and more of what we have said is turning out to be our reality. An eclipse is going to cause all these things. That's crazy, because that's exactly what they tell you in the movie Leave the World Behind. At any rate, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and share it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and leave a comment. I'm out.